All right, I'm going to give you some advice today that's going to help you move forward in your law firm. We want you to grow your law firm. No one wants your law firm to sink down into the tar pits. I'm here in LA. We just conducted a planning workshop for the Beverly Hills Bar Association just up the street from here. So I swung back around because I wanted to shoot a video and see the La Brea tar pits behind me. This is a big lake of, you got to smell it. It smells like when you're driving past and they've just paved a street or something and it's got that odor of asphalt. This is actually naturally occurring asphalt that comes up out of the earth. Okay, here you go. There's 4 activities you are engaged in every day when you run your law firm. You got to put everything you do into one of these 4 categories. I have a little party trick that I do, and it shocks lawyers how accurately, it's eerily accurate, how accurately I can tell you what your revenues are going to be 12 months from now by looking at your activities, by looking at your calendar for the past 12 months. Tony Robbins says that you can always show up, you can always see where a person's priorities are by looking at their calendar and looking at their checkbook. How a person chooses to use their time and what they devote their resources to do is a very, very, very good predictor of the future. So here it is with your law firm. Here's what you can do. It's real simple. Everything you're doing is either A, actively driving your law firm forward towards the goals that you have, the financial goals you have, the personal goals you have, and or the professional goals that you have. B, it's an activity that is preparing you, that is paving the way for you to take action that actively drives your law firm forward. C, it is something that is just you're treading water, treading water, treading water. And D, it's something that is actively driving you back or holding you back from achieving your goals. So as you're progressing up the 4 stages of growth that every law firm goes through, from zero to $1 million. First stage, 0 to 250, 250 to 500, 500 to $1 million, and over $1 million. As you're going through this, from 0 to $250,000, it's the hardest part of the journey because you have to do a lot of stuff just to tread water to keep your head above water. That's why it's easier to run a $500,000 firm than a $250,000 firm, and it's a lot easier to run a $1 million firm than a $500,000 firm. The bigger the firm gets, the more revenues you have, the easier it becomes. Now, this is very, very unfamiliar a way of thinking for lawyers who are struggling in the $0 to $250,000 range, particularly if they've begun to sink down into the tar pits. So look, here's the deal. You got to go back and just look at your week for the past week and just say everything you did it actively drive my firm forward? Or did it at least prepare me to drive my firm forward? Or was I just treading water? Or was it actually holding me back? Here's an example of each. Actively driving your firm forward is building your marketing systems. Actively driving your firm forward is when you actually delegate something to a person who can now do it for you. Actively driving your firm forward is when you analyze your financials and make important strategic decisions based on those financials. Those are examples. It's not a complete list. Those are some examples of things that actively drive your firm forward. Things that you do to prepare your firm to drive forward. When you sit down and think through and analyze some of your 12 key internal policies that prepares you to drive your firm forward. When you work through some of your key external policies that prepares you to drive your firm forward. When you actually sit down and train someone on your staff by giving them some made up work, right? Don't train them with an active case. Train them with a made up case or a made up matter so that they can learn it and not freak you out in the process, so you can be a better teacher and a better trainer. That's something that prepares you to delegate the work to them. The delegation is the actively moving your firm forward. The training and the thinking through and the engineering for how they're supposed to do the job for you, that prepares you to drive the firm forward. Treading water is when you're trading dollars for hours, dollars for hours, dollars for hours. That's just treading water. You're not getting anywhere. Keeps you alive, but it doesn't move you forward. Things that actively are destructive to your firm: hanging out with people who don't believe in themselves, hanging out with lawyers who say, oh, it's the economy, hanging out with lawyers who don't have a successful law firm but do have a very good story for why they don't have a successful law firm. Hanging around those kinds of people is an example of things that keep you, that move your firm backwards. Taking cases or matters from clients you know you shouldn't take because you're desperate for the cash flow actively drives you backwards. Not delegating something to someone at a lower cost but doing it yourself to try to save a buck actively moves your firm backwards away from your goals. All right? Getting a little chilly here at the La Brea Tar Pits. Don't let that happen to you. Move your firm forward today. All right.